Welcome to Buckets, coming to you from the Tommy John Home Studios. My name is Matt Moore. I'm the senior NBA writer for the Action Network. I'm joined by Gilles Gallant from the Touchdown Show all over the Action Network. He's also been red hot on NBA props. He's been absolutely just liquid molten metal pouring through everything. Also joining me, Kyle Murray from Roto Grinders, the experts over there. You get great stuff at Roto Grinders. Make sure to check them out at Kmur DFS, Kmurr DFS. Today's show, we're gonna do best bets for Wednesday, April 30th in the NBA playoffs. Sides, totals, props, the whole shebang for you here on the show. Everything we talk about can be found in the award-winning Action Network app. Best way for you to track your picks is if you sign up for the pros subscription, you're gonna get all of Brandon Anderson's picks right when he makes them. You're going to get Sean Kerner's plays right when he makes them for the 35 seconds before they move. You're going to get all sorts of great stuff from Chris Raybon throughout the NBA playoffs, all sorts of great stuff. Check it out. Go get the pro subscription on the Action Network app. Go to youtube.com/the Action Network. We have Buckets Live coming Wednesday and Thursday this week at 10:30 Eastern. We'll react to the games. We'll react live. We'll give out live plays on the games that are still in action. We'll talk about series coming up as these series wrap up and look forward to those next series prices. You're going to want to check it out. Go to youtube.com/the Action Network. Hit the subscribe button. Turn on notifications so you catch us when we go live. We got shows like Playoff Pitch for baseball. You're going to be able to get in on the favorites, all sorts of shows throughout the summer and into football season in the fall. Don't miss out. Go to youtube.com/the Action Network right now. All right, let's do best bets for Wednesday in the association. We'll go around the horn, give our best bets, and then we'll do the cap. Gilles Gallant, what are your plays for Wednesday in the NBA playoffs?
Well, I'm going to bet on elimination game James. I'm going to take LeBron James over 42 and a half points, rebounds, and assists. I think he'll have a huge game here in game five. And I'm going to be taking Jalen Green over 7.5 rebounds and assists. A nice little bounce back spot for the former second overall pick.
Okay. Nothing like betting Jalen Green on the Wednesday. Just what I wanted to do with my time and money. Kyle Murray, what are your plays for the association?
Yeah, I got two player props. I'm also going to LeBron here. I like him over 25 and a half points. And I like Amen Thompson over 19 and a half points and rebounds.
Okay. I'm on sides and I'm going chalk. I like Rockets -4 because I will just keep slamming my head into the Warriors' door over and over again because I do not believe in this team. I'm also taking Lakers -5.5. I've got trends supporting that we'll get to here in a bit. Let's start with that early game and let's talk about Warriors and Rockets. Gilles Gallant, talk to me about Jalen Green.
Yeah, I mean, Jalen Green, I think, had probably the worst playoff game a player had had in this entire postseason so far. Just awful. This is kind of why I'm looking at the bounce back here for Jalen Green because he has technically hit this prop over 7.5 rebounds and assists in each of the first three playoff games in the series. But game four was just such a bad game. Four turnovers in the first half. He had three fouls. Ime Udoka benched him for the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, which was very telling just how frustrated he was with him and how he was performing there in game four. But I think there's just a higher upside for Jalen Green coming back here in game four. He's averaging higher potential assists and rebound chances, specifically in those first two games. So 9.3 rebound chances per game in the series with 6.3 potential assists. And then I was looking at Ime Udoka and looking at some of the post-game comments going into game five. And he has made it clear that he wants Jalen Green to play big minutes. He wants him to kind of take that emergence like the way that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum did when he was coach of the Celtics. But he has kind of also mentioned that he needs him to chip in other ways when his shot isn't dropping. And that was very apparent in game four, where he was just sulking basically because nothing was working for him. And then Jimmy Butler just went off there in the fourth quarter. So the other thing, too, that I've noticed with the Warriors is that they really will press him full court, like with GP and Hield, to try to get the ball out of his hands. So that's kind of why I was steering away from the points prop or even the points, rebounds, and assists, thinking of other ways that Jalen Green can contribute. And I think he can get 8 rebounds and assists here in game five, especially when I'm seeing some 8.5s out there right now. I think the market is going to move up to 8.5 by the time we get to tip off. So seeing right now at FanDuel over 7.5 rebounds and assists, that's the bet that I like.
All right. Hard to argue with it, even though you will never get me on a Jalen Green prop because, well, there's a lot of times that he shouldn't be playing, and he actually did get benched last night before they had to go. Like they had to go back to him because of the hacking Adams. So I mean, he'll play. He might play well. You can hit this. I will not bet Jalen Green, but I do think the cap is really good. If it were not a principal play, I would be on it with you. Kyle, I
It's the
am your
points. The points scare me off too much. Like
yeah.
the fact that we could see a 38-point game and then a 9-point game, there's just way too much variance to feel good, but taking over on the points. Whereas I think the rebounds and assists, especially as a younger player, like this could potentially be his last game as a Rocket if he
Yeah.
doesn't kind of get his stuff together. So I think he's going to put in a more stronger effort on that front of filling up the box score than looking for his shot,
Mhm.
especially given that it is an elimination game.
Yeah, if there's one thing we know about Jalen Green is that he's definitely going to try and make his teammates better instead of shoot a lot. Kyle, so as we look at Amen Thompson over 19 and a half PR, you do have my interest with this one. Give me the cap on Amen Thompson.
Yeah, so took this one over 18 and a half last game, and that one hit with ease, but I honestly didn't really get there the way I planned it out. Obviously, Diamond Thompson, more than capable of going out and posting a solid rebounding game. He's had 26 combined rebound chances in each of the last two games, so we know that he can get it done on the glass, which he did last game, but I was sort of expecting him to play more minutes. Obviously, got into a bit of foul trouble in the first half with three fouls, but still posted 9 rebounds and had 17 points as well. So, in my opinion, this is kind of just the best case scenario for Amin Thompson. I do expect to project him for more minutes coming into this game. Had him for 38 minutes in the last game. He only played 31 due to that foul trouble. Elimination game, I think 36 plus minutes should be pretty easy to get done here for Thompson. So, in my opinion, you're getting kind of a great spot with this line just because of the fact that we should expect some pretty solid efficiency, not only on the glass, but also from a scoring perspective, as Thompson's also settled into a more offensive role, 22% usage rate or higher in each of the last two games, 28 total shot attempts in those games as well. And again, this is a guy who's going to have a lot of, more high value, high efficiency shots around the basket for Thompson. So like this number here for Thompson at 19 and a half over points and rebounds.
I love this. But then again, like this is like there's a bias here, right? Where I'm like Jalen Green, boo, Amen Thompson, yay, right? And the reality is that both of them, I think, have value based off the caps that Jill and Kyle gave. I do think that Amen has proven that he is capable of making some very big plays. He had a really bad game three, but I thought he was great in game four. I thought he was great in game two. I think he is a guy that's capable of making more plays than they've given an opportunity. If they ran Amen Thompson Alperen Şengün DHO last night on the final play, they probably score as opposed to whatever that nonsense was that Ime Udoka drew up for a Şengün ISO against a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Good God, Udoka has just gotten rocked in the series, like rocked in the series by Steve Kerr. But Amen, I do think like look, he makes so many plays, offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, so many plays, and he's got the ability, I think, to be able to score. The number is soft. I like this over 19 and a half. Pretty good. I like this. I'm on Rockets -4. So here's the trend, because I think it's a pretty good one. Um, teams that are, this is very interesting to me. Teams that are down 3-1 at home as a home favorite in the NBA playoffs overall. 30 and 10 straight up at 75%. 57.5% ATS, 23 and 17. So right off the bat, you take all teams. Surprisingly, it's hard to get the gentleman's sweep when you're the dog. Like that's the message there is that if you're on the road as a dog, it's difficult for you to get the gentleman's sweep. Okay, but that's going to include some of the other rounds. So what about just the first round when we know the competition? Like this is where we weed out the weaker teams. It's actually stronger. 19 and 5 straight up at 79% straight up. 14 and 10, 58% ATS. If you think the Rockets win this game, let's move to that. If you win, how often do they cover? 14 and 0 ATS. If the Rockets win the game, they're going to cover. Matt Mitchell rule in effect here. Um, it's I took the Rockets in the series because the number was disrespectful. If you want to say that the edge that took this number from a plus number for the Warriors to a minus number was based off of exactly what we've seen, their ability to close in clutch situations and the Rockets' inability to close in clutch situations, I don't have an argument there. Like that's a totally fine premise. I would probably say that this series is probably closer than 3-1, that one of the two games that were narrow should have gone Houston's way, and it probably should be 2-2. I can't make like a strident argument for it. This isn't Pistons Knicks because like Dylan Brooks does put his hand on Jimmy Butler's hip on a three-pointer. What are you doing? What are you doing, Dylan? But the margin has been narrow. I am still unimpressed with Golden State. They get 26 points from Pajemski. Their offensive scoring load is just not consistent. I do not have a good feel for the Warriors' offensive floor. If you can show me that the Warriors have a consistently high offensive floor, that they're going to get X amount of production, because like Curry didn't have a good game last night. Jimmy did. Okay, cool. One, that three-pointer on a ridiculous decision led to that 27 versus a 24-point line, and that does sound a little bit different. He grifts his way for a lot of these points, made a huge rebound at the end, but those are things that are under the Rockets' control. I have no choice here but to just willingly walk into the thresher of betting against this Warriors team. Once again, I will take Rockets -4 and hate myself during the game. Jill, what do you think?
Will they take threes? Because right now, the three losses, they're less than 33-point attempts. The one win, they had 43-point attempts. I don't want to simplify it just down to that, but it's pretty simple that the Rockets are having a very difficult time scoring. Now, you could say some of that is the perimeter defense, but sometimes you just have to force it up, and they're not really doing that. They're not getting secondary scoring from guys like Jabari Smith. Tari Eason is getting played out of the rotation, so that's really the key. Like outside of Fred VanVleet, nobody else really seems to want to take threes. I thought that was kind of half of Dylan Brooks's bag, was that he would take a lot of 3-point attempts. We're not really seeing that from him in this series so far. So I think it's as simple as if if the Rockets put up 30 plus 3-point attempts, hit 40% like they normally would, we're on that range, I think they win this game pretty comfortably. But if they're struggling to score and not taking those 3-point attempts, that's exactly what the Warriors want. So I think if you're going to take Rockets -4, maybe look at some 3-point overs as well for some of those secondary players.
One more kind of note on the trend because I thought this was interesting. Those first round games where the home team does win, the under is 10-4 in those games. If we back it up to more big picture to get a bigger sample size, how about this? Teams that are home favorite when the home team is favored in a game 5 down 3-1, the under is 22-16-2. That's 57%. So we got a slightly larger sample and a better kind of figure there. So I just wanted to kind of throw this out here. Amen, 20 plus points and rebounds, 7.5 for Jalen Green, rebounds and assists. Rockets -4, and the under 204.5 is +950 at DK. I actually kind of think that there's a script there. If it's like, yeah, they got there on rebounds because there's a lot of missed shots by the Warriors because they shot poorly. And then Amen just, is able to get there 10 point or 12 points, 8 boards, which is, I think, possible for him. 13, 15, and 5, whatever. That's possible. If Jalen does pass instead of gunning, then we can definitely, I think, kind of get there. A defensive game, I think the Rockets can still win even without the 3-point margin. You're not wrong. That was Brandon Anderson's big point last night was the Rockets got mathed to death. That was what he was doing in his very gloating text messages to me because that's how Brandon rolls. So +950 is that 4-leg parlay, same game parlay at DK, 20 plus Amen points and rebounds. Jalen over 7.5 rebounds and assists. Rockets -4 and the under 204.5. Let's take a second and let you know. I mentioned that we're coming to you from the Tommy John home studios. That's because great games start with great underwear, and Tommy John makes the greatest. Weather's getting warmer. It's getting real warm outside. You're gonna want that breathability. You don't want to have a swamp down there. It's not pleasant. You also we don't want that when you're just hanging around the house, when you're wearing in your sleep clothes or whatever, and everything that you're gonna get from Tommy John's. They sent us very kindly packs, and everybody that got them was just like, "This is the most comfortable stuff I have ever worn." I'm not making that up. Those are direct quotes from the folks at Buckets. Remember, when you're truly comfortable, you do everything better, and that includes betting. If you love the Buckets podcast and you love our crew, you're gonna love Tommy John. Get 25% off your first order right now at TommyJohn.com/buckets. That's 25% off at TommyJohn.com/buckets. Also, want to let you know the Underdog just became the best place to make picks during the basketball playoffs with their extender promo. With the extender, you can play your way to increasingly bigger boosts each round of the playoffs. Start a playoff series by using your game one boost and continue boosting each subsequent game to unlock the next one. The longer the series, the bigger the boosts. Underdog is one of the leading sports apps, and you can play right now in your state. Their app has over 100,000 five-star reviews and millions of players. To play, all you have to do is download the app and choose whether a player will go higher or lower on one of their stats. You can choose from things like points, assists, and so much more. Spoiler, I'm going to be on the Lakers here, so I'm going to definitely be on higher for Luca points, lower on Luca assists because I gambled too much on Luca assists lower in game or over more higher in game three and four, and it did not pay off. So I think lower is going to be the play on Luca assist. Download the Underdog app and sign up with promo code Buckets100 to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you make your first deposit. That's promo code Buckets100. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit nzpgambling.org. In Arizona, you can call 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text next step to 53342. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE NY. All right, let's talk about Lakers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves down 3-1. Everyone criticizing JJ Redick for not taking the guys out in the second half and Luka's defense and all these things, and they're mostly right. And yet I'm going to be on Lakers minus 5.5. Same basic cap here. The trend supports it. I also think these games, again, the Wolves have owned these fourth quarters, and that's a good reason I think to take the Wolves in the series. But I am willing to go ahead and say that the Lakers are going to be able to get one more. I think they push this back to Minnesota, and then the Wolves close it out in six. Minnesota has also not been great at absolutely slamming the door in some situations, so I think that there's a good opportunity here for them to maybe get caught in a bad game. Jaden McDaniels just has one bad game, and that's going to tilt the series dramatically offensively. I think the Lakers with a couple more days for Luka to get healthy, I do think this comes out. I will be on Luka under on assists just based off of the fact of what I underestimated. They did make him a passer a lot of times in game three. The difference is that they figured out most of his mechanisms for where he wants to go. They don't have a great short roll option because Jackson Hayes can't do it, and LeBron's too old to screen. So there's a little bit of an issue there. So I'm going to be on the under for Luka assists in this game, but mostly I like Lakers minus 5.5 to get the cover and extend this to a game six. Let's go to Gilles Gallant. Talk to me about your angle for LeBron James, and then we'll get Kyle's thoughts.
Sure. So LeBron, obviously we saw in the second half, played the entire second half. Not sure if I would have recommended that to JJ Redick for game four, but again, I'm not an NBA coach. But what that does mean is he is playing close to 40 plus minutes in each playoff game. And with LeBron, just like Luca, you know they're going to be out there for at least 40 plus minutes, especially in an elimination game like this. So I think the other thing that was encouraging too for game four, he only took 9 field goals, but was really getting to the free throw line. Still ended up scoring 27 points despite only taking 9 shots from the floor. Right now, you can look at some other tertiary markets like over under field goal attempts at Bet365. And right now, the over under is at 18 and a half field goal attempts. They're expecting probably a lot of shots from LeBron in this game. So I just love the upside here for a closeout game. But another thing that I looked up as well, I didn't want to try to cherry pick, but he's played in a lot of elimination playoff games. So we did have to kind of minimize the sample size here. So we just did it with just the Lakers. He has played 13 elimination playoff games. So this is either closing out a series or they're going to be eliminated. In those games, he has cleared this line of 42 and a half points, rebounds, and assists in 9 of them for a 70% hit rate and averages 48.1 PRA in those games. So at this point, given what the stakes are, I'm just going to trust that the king stays the king. Elimination game, James, over 42 and a half points, rebounds, and assists in game five.
Okay. So that's Gilles' play for 42.5 PRA. Kyle, you have it singled down to just points. Tell me why, and then we can talk about the differences between the two.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just the numbers and my projections, projecting LeBron for over 30 points here, but I don't mind the PRA number at all. When you look at last game, yeah, 22 potential assists and 22 rebound chances there. So definitely nothing wrong with adding the PRA as well. But the main reason why I went to just the points number is this 25 and a half is available on a couple different books, sitting at 26 and a half on the majority of books across the industry. So mainly finding some value there. That's the key reason why I kind of narrowed down to the 25 and a half points. Like I mentioned, projects really well here. The big thing is the minutes, right? Obviously, JJ Redick went, I mean, I can't really fault JJ Redick because I do the same thing when I'm playing NBA 2K, just play the guys the whole game. I do turn stamina off, so it's a little bit different there. LeBron will definitely feel some stamina, considering he's 40 years old, but I don't think JJ Redick is also someone who's gonna, instantly change his strategy because he gets a little bit of, hate in the media or on Twitter. So I would not be surprised to see these guys play, 44 minutes again. Again, I don't think we see LeBron play 46, 47, 48 minutes, but again, 42 to 44 minutes would not be, a crazy projection. I think when looking at the numbers, I have him for 41 minutes right now. And again, I think that's kind of, being a little bit conservative with that number. Is if this is a game where they're winning or controlling, I think that they could easily take the foot off the gas minutes wise. But in that sort of world, LeBron's probably doing a pretty good job scoring as well. Joe pointed out that he scored 27 points on just 9 field goal attempts last game. Obviously, he got to the line, shot 18 free throw attempts, but in the two previous games, averaging 20 field goal attempts. So again, we're going to see more volume from LeBron, and I do think that's going to come with some more efficiency, hopefully as well. So again, projecting him for over 30 points in this game. So I like the over on 25 and a half points for LeBron in this one.
Matt, I was just going to mention those elimination games just to kind of bring that back. He has scored 26 or more points in those elimination games and 10 of those 13 games as well. So, more than likely, if he's going over his points prop, he's probably going over the PAR line as well.
Back against the wall as a 40-year-old. Can I ask one, Jill? I would like your thoughts on Luca under 6.5 assists, just like any cap that you've got off the top of your head. And then Kyle, while he's doing that, if you can give me a check on what you have Luca projected at for assists, because I'm working on a little SGP here.
My biggest concern with taking under on assists right now is just the way that, again, it's a very small sample, but in the fourth quarter, what they were doubling him, they were constantly doubling him as soon as they got to the perimeter, and they were having a lot of success with that. And I think that really spearheaded part of the reason why they were able to make that comeback and win. That being said, I think he's going to get a lot of easy assists, maybe even from LeBron, just in transition. So I think that's line is pretty safe. Like again, we can hear from Kyle's projections here in a second, but I'd imagine it's not a huge edge to take the under at this stage. But again, scared money don't make no money. Like right now, he's like in shot mode. Like he's taking so many shots, especially in game four, what we saw. I expect him to take even more shots now, given this is the elimination spot. So, again, just quick thoughts. I don't really have a lean either way on 6.5. I think I'd just be scared on taking unders on anything Luca at this point.
So you're right about the double, but the trick is that the Wolves are smart enough and good enough to basically say, hey, we're gonna double him. He's gonna kick to this elbow, this L pass, and we're gonna guard that. Because what happens with some of that is like if it's Hayes, if it's small ball, which has been the primary set, those guys aren't going to roll to the rim. They're going to set a screen and then they're going to pop for three, and that gives them two wing options. But if you just defend that way as opposed to having to crash, you don't have to bring anybody over, and you don't have to worry about him making the weak side skip pass to the corner. That's all a lot to say that they basically know his initial pass sequence, which makes it harder to create assists. You can generate hockey assists off of that, secondary assists, but it's harder to be able to generate those direct assists. 42 potential assists to 20 assists. Honestly, that's not like a terrible mark considering how perimeter oriented the Lakers are going to be. They don't have, like, if they're not going to play Jackson Hayes, I'm not going to expect a higher conversion rate than those. So I think that that's not a bad number. Kyle, what do you have this projected at?
I have it right around the line, so I have him at 6.45 assists, so like literally right the same as the line. Mostly that's going to be a lower number compared to his regular season standard projection there, and a lot of that is because of looking at potential assist numbers in this series. They have been down. Has not peaked more than 14 potential assists in this series, which is lower than his season average. Only 9 last game, 8 in game one. 11 in game two and then 14 in game three. So I think the potential assist numbers definitely back up the kind of the imagery that Matt's pointing out. So if I had to bet here, I would lean the under just because of the projection right at the line. But yeah, I think for me in the numbers, it's probably hard for the actual projection to conceptualize the kind of the scheme that you're laying out with the Timberwolves. But
Yeah, but
so
even then,
I'm
but
more
that's
than
all.
happy to.
Yeah, but that's kind of the point. The trick here is that I get caught up in these specific mechanisms when I do my
Yeah.
caps, and then I forget things like, yeah, but he also just like flipped the ball to a guy in transition and he shot a three and made it. And he did
Yeah.
that twice, and that's 2 assists. Let's take that out. Lakers -5.5. LeBron 25 plus points and over 16.5 rebounds and assists, which gets us well below that mark that Gilles betting on points, rebounds, and assists. That gets us to plus 330. That's not a bad same game parlay. If LeBron has a good night, very easy to see, I think, a Lakers win. And if they win, good chance that they cover. I mean, like if you give a mouse a cookie mode, if you give the Lakers a lead, they're probably going to cover. All right, that'll do it for best bets for Wednesday in the association. Kyle Murray likes Amen Thompson over 19 and a half points and rebounds. LeBron James over 25 and a half points. Gilles Gallant likes LeBron over 42 and a half PRA and Jalen Green over 7.5 rebounds and assists. I'm on Rockets -4, Lakers -5. Let's extend these series. That's going to do it. My thanks to our producers for getting this up at youtube.com/the Action Network and in your podcast. Hey, give us a 5-star review. Take a second. Go give us a 5-star review. It won't hurt you. It won't take anything from you. And it's such a nice way. Let me know that you like the show on Twitter at HP Basketball. Hope you guys have yourselves a great Tuesday/Wednesday morning. And we'll see you guys again for best bets for Thursday in the NBA playoffs. Till then, let's get buckets.